Hello and welcome to episode 26 of D Nice Knits. My name is Denise and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as DNice515. I'd like to thank new and returning viewers for coming back to watch me talk about yarn for about 15 to 20 minutes. First, I'd like to apologize because I put my glasses on today and there's a little bit of a glare because I'm sitting across from a window. But I just didn't want to put my contacts in. So I'm sorry about the glare, and I'm sorry that the room I'm in has a little bit of an echo and you can hear like some street noise, but I can't really do anything about that. So today I'm going to talk about finished objects, works in progress, new things, and future knits, and then I'll talk about life maybe a little bit at the end. So the first thing I don't have with me, my first finished project, and I think this is the first episode that I don't have a finished pair of socks. I have not finished any socks this month. This month I have not finished any pairs of socks. I've been working on other things and some gift knits, so no socks that are done. I've worked on socks but not done socks. And so I also made a scarf for my coworker because she was going through a kind of rough time. So I will put a picture here. And this scarf is in Fisherman's Rib, and it's made out of Michael's Never Enough yarn in the peach colorway. I do not recommend that yarn. It was a little rough acrylic, and yeah, so it wasn't my favorite acrylic. But it was a nice color, and she was happy with it, and it came out nice. And then my second finished object is a headband that I made. It's called a turban headband. Well, it's just a headband. I think the name of the pattern is Headband with a Twist, and all of the patterns that I use will be linked below, and I really like it. It came out cute. The only difference in the pattern that I did was it's in brioche, and I used Fisherman's Rib again because I'm obsessed, and I even seamed it up and I sewed in the ends, which I never do, but I really like it. I think it came out cute, and I think I'm gonna make another one, maybe two of these for gifts. So that's it for finished objects. And then I'm going to go to socks because I always go to socks. So this I was working on last time. This is for a pair of socks for my husband. And it is Patons Kroy socks in the gray brown marl colorway. And when I use Patons Kroy, I use a 2.75 milliliter needle, a US 2.5, I believe. I think, yeah. And I do Judy's Magic Cast On, and I increase to 64 stitches, and then for my husband. And then every 10 rounds I use what are these markers called? A light bulb marker. And for my husband I do 68 rounds, and then Fish Lips Kiss Heel, and then I think I did 50 rounds, 60 rounds, and then 12 rounds of ribbing, and then all I have to do on this sock is cast off and then start the second one, which I plan on doing this month, I hope. So that's that sock. And then my other sock is I made a pair of socks for my daughter, and I never sewed in the ends, and now they're too small for her, so I have to unravel them and make them again. And this is Opal Sport, and I don't know what the colorway, it's called Opal Sport Panorama in the yoga colorway. I can do that, right? And so I had this much yarn left over from my daughter's socks. So what I did was I started one sock from the outside of the ball, and I finished the heel on this one. Yes, I finished the heel on this one. And then I went and I started the other sock from the inside of the ball, so I can use as much of this ball as I can, because I don't know if I have enough yarn left over. I should have weighed it before I started it, but I started it while I was moving, so I decided not to. So for my socks, for most yarns, except for Patons Kroy, I use a US 1.5 and 2.5 millimeter needle on a 9-inch Hiya Sharps. No one's ever asked me. I think I mentioned that I use Hiya Sharps for my 9-inch needles, and I use Judy's Magic Cast On, and I increase to 60 stitches. I do 65 rounds, Fish Lips Kiss Heel, and then however much I can go on the leg, and then I will do 12 rounds of ribbing, and then Jenny's stretchy bind off as the bind off on US 5. So it's really stretching out my leg. It does flare out a little, but I like for it to fit over my ankle more than it flares out. When you wear it, you can't tell that it flares out. My next project, I think I'm going to show my blanket because I only did like 2 rounds on this. I don't know if I'm going to work on this again because, excuse me, it's too big to bring to work now. And so maybe I'll work on it at home, but if I work at it at home, I only get like 2 or 3 rounds done because the rows are getting very, very long. And I think before I was here, I'm getting really bad at not marking where I was the last time I podcast on a project. So today I'm going to really try to put a stitch marker here. And I think the next color I'm adding is a dark green. My daughter picked the next color, is a dark green. And then it'll be light green, and I think that's where I end. It'll be 10 colors high and I think 75 stitches, 75 clusters, there we go, 10 clusters across. So I have finished all of the yellow on this side. You see how it like squares out. So I finished all the yellow and some of the blue. Yeah, and I like it a lot. But it's too big to bring to work, so I will work on it at home when I can. And then my next project is a scarf. So what I do with scarves, and you'll see, I fold them in half. I fold them a bunch of times. And then I pin them. And you can see where it was pinned before is kind of sticking out a little bit. But that will, what is it called? Not blocked out. That'll stretch out like as they wear it. So this is a Lion Brand mandala in the Genie colorway. Yeah, Lion Brand mandala in the Genie colorway. And I only have a little bit left of this. I only have this much left. Just a little bit left of the gray. So it goes from gray to green to white and then back to gray. And like I was saying, this is in the Fisherman's Rib on a US 6. And like I was saying, I fold my scarves in half because they have like a tendency to twist up on itself. So when I fold it and then pin it, I can just flip it back and forth a lot easier without it like twisting like this. You know, when you work on a scarf that's this long, it starts to do that. So I fold it up and I pin it with those light bulb stitch markers like this one. Can you see that one? Yeah, like that one. And then I unpinned it so I could show you the whole scarf. And I have some pins on it right there. So that's that for that scarf. I'm almost done with that. But I lost steam on it and I made that headband. And then I also had some coworkers do some favors for me because I was out of work for a week and a half. Yes, because I was moving. And I had people work for me, and I was so excited that they picked up shifts for me that I said that I would knit them the things. So of course, I decided to make a hat. So they asked for things. So one of them asked for a headband, another one asked for a scarf, and then this one asked for a hat. So I started a hat. This is called the like a boyfriend hat, and it has a really cool crown decreases, and I'll put a picture here of my husband. I think I made my husband one and my best friend's husband one. But my husband's, I think I took a picture of the crown. And I really like the crown decreases on that hat. So that's what I'm making for one of my coworkers is this. And I have a Trinkles stitch marker on it. And this is on a US 7. And I'll talk about the yarn in a second. Oh, I'll talk about the yarn now because it is a new thing. So we're going to go into a new thing. So because I asked my coworkers what they wanted, they told me the colors they wanted. And of course they picked colors that I did not have, which I was shocked that I did not have because I have a lot of yarn. So I went to the Dollar Tree. And why did I go to? I went to Dollar Tree for another reason. Because I was looking for some type of needle storage because the needle storage that I had was kind of just like a spaghetti mess of yarn. And I probably should have brought that up. If anybody cares how I organized my knitting needles, put it down below and I'll show next time how I organize my knitting needles. But right now, I bought yarn at the Dollar Tree. So this was $1. And it is rubbery, and even when you knit with it, it squeaks a little. And I do not like knitting with this one. It is very squeaky. And but it feels okay. It feels pretty nice. But this is the color she wanted. She wanted disposable. It's such a weird color, but this is how she asked for it. She's like, you know the masks we wear at work, like disposable masks? She wanted the blue of the disposable mask. So this is close. It's a little brighter. I could not find like that light blue, and I didn't want to go to Michael's or Joann's and buy more expensive yarn, so I just got some Dollar Tree yarn. And I hope she doesn't watch this and knows that I bought her Dollar Tree yarn. And then my other coworker wanted a mustard yellow scarf. So this again is Dollar Tree yarn. But this yarn I've used before. I made my daughter a hat, and I made my best friend a hat, I think, out of this yarn before, and I like this. It's Premier Just Yarn worsted, and it's soft, and I liked this yarn, and it's 60 grams, 131 yards. So I got 3 of them because he's a really tall guy, so I think he's gonna need like a long scarf for a tall guy. And then, just because I saw it and I thought it was cute, they had these little like ballies. I don't know what you would call it. It just says acrylic yarns. It's 3 27-gram balls, and I got 2. So I want to make a hat and then matching fingerless mitts, because I have 1 pair of fingerless mitts that I made last year, I think in January, and I really like them. I've been wearing them every day. So I want to make like a hat and a matching fingerless mitts, and I think they would be really cute. And it was $1. Oh, the Dollar Tree just gets you. And then my last new thing is my old landlord. His daughter is a crocheter, I believe, and she gave me this ball of yarn that's falling apart, but it is a shawl and a cake yarn. And the colorway is Half Moon, and I really like it. I have to figure out a way to get this yarn back into the cake. I think I have to take the yarn tag off and then wrap it around somehow. I don't know. But that's the yarn from my old landlord. So, and then I have future knits. My only future knit really is the other sock for my husband. I need to finish his socks. And then I watched the Sock Lady podcast. No, Crazy Sock Lady podcast. And she's been doing this hat called the Musselburgh hat, which is a paid for pattern. And all it is just like a long tube. So you start a hat from a pinhole cast on, and then you go out to your required stitches, and then you stitch a long tube, and then you close the crown of the hat. So it's a hat that folds in on itself. And I was like, I could figure that out. I don't need to pay. I don't even know how much the pattern is. This is probably going to be a sorry. This is probably going to be a problem later on, when I'm like, oh, I can figure that out. It'll be fine. I can do it. And then I'm going to be like, I should have just paid for the pattern. But then I have something to talk about on the podcast. So for that socks, it's like a sock head hat, but like inside out. That's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to take the sock head hat numbers, and I'm going to increase in 4 points, and then you knit straight for however long, and then you decrease. And I want to do these yarns. So these are sparkly yarns. This is an opal yarn that I used for Christmas, and this is the Christmas colorway last year from West Yorkshire Spinners. What's it called? Silent Night. And so they're sparkly, so I wanted a sparkly hat. Because I do. And at first I was going to do half this color and half this color, but now I think I might stripe them, because I remember that I didn't like the way that this pooled. So I might stripe them instead. And I think I have more of this yarn than I have of this yarn. I'm going to weigh them too, because I do have a food scale. Yes, a food scale in my kitchen. So I can weigh them and see like which one weighs more. I don't know, because the hat is technically reversible. So I could do half this color and half this color. I don't know, I haven't decided yet, but that's to come, to be determined. And then my last thing I'm going to talk about, I guess, is life. So if you don't want to watch anymore, you don't have to. So I moved. Me and my husband bought a house, and we closed on it February 1st. It was a snow day, so February 2nd. And then we moved into the house. I don't know what's going on with my throat. I'm sorry. We moved into the house on February 13th. Yes, February 13th, and today is February 25th, I think. So we moved into the house on the 13th, but I took a week out of work so I could move like the small boxes, and then we hired movers to move the big things, like our furniture and the beds and everything that was big, the kitchen table, things like that, because COVID, and I don't like asking people for help moving. I don't think like pizza and beer is good enough. I'm sorry. So we moved in, and in the move, I took stockpile of all my yarn. So like I said, I think the last podcast, I had four extra large space bags full of yarn and half of a 30-gallon tote full of yarn. So I decided I wasn't going to buy anything for the yarn, because moving into this house, we have more storage. So when I lived in my old apartment, we had big closets, but we didn't have storage. So we didn't have a linen closet. We didn't have a pantry. So we had food in one of those Starlight plastic containers. And we had our linen closet. I'm sorry. We had our linen closet. Oh, there we go. Our linens in one of those Starlight containers. So I'm going to put a picture here. I think you know what I'm talking about. They're like plastic containers. So we had 3. My husband had some t-shirts in one. So I decided that I wasn't going to buy any storage. So this is also a raised ranch that I'm living in. So we have like an extra kitchen, but we don't have a stove or an oven down there. I mean, a stove or a fridge down there, but we have the plugs for if we want. And a sink if we want. Well, the sink is there. And then there's like pantry storage. So my husband took half of the pantry that's in the basement for his liquor cabinet. So I now have his liquor cabinet. So at first I put all of my acrylic yarn in the liquor cabinet, and I kept my wool in the space bags in the garage. And I was like, you know what? I don't like that my wool yarn is in the garage and the acrylic is in the house. So I took all the work that I did one day, and I put all of the acrylic in a space bag and in some of those Starlight containers. I have one Starlight container that's full of just like my notions, and my Katrinkles has its own section because I have a lot of Katrinkles things. Thanks, Katie. A lot of Katrinkles things, and my knitting needles are all in one top drawer, and then I have acrylic yarn in the rest of the drawers. And then I have one space bag left. Yay! Only one space bag left of acrylic yarn. And then I put all of my wool in Ziploc bags, and I put them by person. So I knit socks for my mom, my mother-in-law, my grandmother-in-law, my best friend's husband, my daughter, and myself. Yes, I knit socks for all those people. So I section them off by color, and each bag has like 5 yarns for my mom, 5 yarns for my husband, 5 yarns for my best friend's husband, 4 for my best friend, some for me, some for my grandma, some for my mother-in-law because her favorite color is green. So it's all sectioned off now by color, and then there's sections of my yarn. And then I also have a small space bag full of yarn that I want to dye. Yes, again, even though that takes a long time, but I want to dye yarn again someday. But I do have, what's it called? Bear yarn? Yes, that's not dyed. So I'm going to put a picture of what the liquor cabinet looks like now, full of my yarn. There's a little space at the top because that's all the wool that I had. And that whole liquor cabinet just has wool in it now. Yay! And I have the cedar balls and cedar hearts that Katie gave me, and I also have lavender in each space of the liquor cabinet, and with my acrylic yarn, just because I'm worried about moths, because it is in my basement, which has a door connected to the garage and outside. So yeah, so that's all the yarn that I have, and I hope to make a dent, and I took a picture of it so that maybe I can make a dent in it, and I could get rid of the 30-gallon tote that's in my garage. And I did say that I wasn't going to buy any yarn, and then I bought 5 skeins of yarn from the Dollar Tree. So hopefully I won't buy any more for the rest of the year. You know, same New Year, same me. I bought yarn in February. But that's all that I have today, and I hope I didn't bore you, and thank you for watching. And if you made it this far, thank you, and I hope you have a good day. Bye!